If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Now go download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And now back to Girl Down Podcast with me, Aeon. You're listening to a new episode of Girl Down Podcast with your host, me, Aeon. So sit back, relax, and listen as I unpack the uncertainty of my 30s, one episode at a time. Welcome to another episode of Girl Damn Podcast with me, Aeon, and today I want to talk about decentering the cis-het gaze. One thing about me, if you follow me on social media, is you get to see all aspects of my personality. Like, on one side, I'm very radical, I'm very pro-black, fat, queer, trans woman. But on the other side, I am playful. I'm open about myself and things that I like to discuss to a point. But in all of that, I don't feel like I apologize for any of that. I do recognize that a lot of cis-het folks follow me. A lot of trans people who buy into cis heteronormativity follow me. And every once in a while, it'll be a situation where... So if you follow me on social media, sometimes I get playful. I use the code name or the aliases like TS the Biggie Smalls, TS the Moneybag Ho, TS Nat King Paul. Just as a way to kind of like break the ice before somebody has had a conversation with me. Because I never want folks, especially cis people, to get in the mindset of that I'm uncomfortable by my transness. I think that's what I want to say. That I'm uncomfortable by my transness. I think my experience, particularly with cis-het people, is that they are more willing to accept you if you as a trans person come with this cis-het assimilation narrative where like that whole like born in the wrong body narrative, or the narrative of I'm just uncomfortable and I'm just trying to conform and I'm trying to take my transition seriously, and I'm just I just feel bad about like who I am or what I am, and I'm just gonna fall on the sword. And for me, as I've evolved and as I've become more comfortable with myself, I don't necessarily feel that way. I really try to live my life on purpose, and I accept all parts of myself, and I empower myself to not have those parts of my transsexual identity to be scandalized, to be eroticized by cis het folks, because I believe that we are trying to create a world where all people who have been historically marginalized get to own their own narratives about who they are and how they want to show up in the world. And a part of my narrative is owning my transsexuality, if that's what you want to call it. Me owning, and I say transsexuality as somebody that's a non-operative trans person, a woman who does have a penis, and who, in me saying that I have a penis, I'm not eroticizing it. I'm not trying to capitalize off it. It just is what it is. It's just in my barest form. That's what it is. It's how I relate to the world. It's how I move through the world, and it's something that I'm not ashamed to talk about. And sometimes the most common reaction, especially when I was on Clubhouse and I had that, like I had T.S. Biggie Smalls or something like that. And when I have names like that, I'm being playful and I'm being comical, but I imagine that some part of me on like a subconscious level is trying to poke at the status quo or trying to push through the discomfort, because it will be times where I would be on platforms and my name would be my name, and people would like talk to me and they wouldn't even try to say the name because it made them feel uncomfortable, or it made them, I don't know. But every day I'm just working to decenter the cis-het gaze from how I see myself. And it's hard. It's a struggle because I'm not going to, gender constructs are real and people feel comfortable with gender constructs, and with that becomes respectability. And I know that me accepting myself as a non-operative trans woman, that in and of itself shatters respectability, because me being a woman with a penis, I'm not supposed to have pride in myself. I'm supposed to be repulsed by the idea that my body exists the way that it does. Or on the upside, I'm supposed to immediately go to this hypersexual aspect of myself and just capitalize on it and just be in this secret sexual world, this underground, and never to be seen in public, never to be talked about openly in public conversation. So it kind of becomes these two different extremes of how I'm supposed to feel about myself, one, and then how I'm supposed to show up in the world. And I think that the work that I'm trying to do just through my own intimate circles and people that I'm associated with is creating more space for us to, especially for trans people that don't plan on having gender confirmation surgery for whatever reasons, for creating a space within community, but also creating a space within the world where we can own our narrative, talk about our narrative, talk about our point of view, not feel beaten up about it, not feel ashamed about it, to have pride in it. And also to challenge cis folks. Why does the fact that me like playfully joking about me having a penis, or even talking plain face about me having a penis and being a woman and navigate through the world, why does that make you so uncomfortable? Why can I not talk about that? Why is there no space for me to talk about it and to be free to share my experience? Why is it so wrong that for cis people, you can intrinsically know that a cis woman has a vagina or a cis man has a penis, no matter what it looks like or the differences and all of that. But people can intrinsically know that. Kids can intrinsically know mommy has a fifi and daddy has a pee-pee. But for trans folks, it's just the unspeakable that a woman can have a PP and daddy can have the JJ. And I don't know, I just want to live in a world where I just want to live in a world where I have the autonomy to determine how my body is going to show up in a space. And I feel like so many times that that whole silence around not talking about trans bodies and the uniqueness of trans bodies and the possibilities that how they could show up. They really do a disservice, especially to trans folks that are trying to survive in this world where everything is so cis heteronormative. But I say all of that to say, turning it back to me, that I'm just at a point in my life where I'm not letting nobody strip me of my sexuality, to strip me of my sense of humor, because I believe that I am a part of the guard that is, I'm really fighting to create a space where we can openly talk about these things. And it's so important because ultimately, I want to impact these systems. I want to impact these institutions on every level. What's coming to my mind right now is thinking of like medical systems, thinking about myself as I age. It's not enough for me to just want to age and want to live this life where I'm carefree and I have rest. I also want to know that when me as a trans person, when I come into these systems, that I'm going to be received, that I'm not going to be criminalized for having a different body. That I'm not going to be pushed away. I was thinking about what is her name? Tori Cooper from HRC. They were having like a series of conversations for World AIDS Day, and she was talking about how she's a black trans woman in her 50s, and she was talking about how there's a need for her as a black trans woman to have breast exams and prostate exams. And I'm somebody that even even when I was doing my advocacy work like back in 2011, I was thinking about where are the campaigns, particularly for trans femmes, because that's what I am. I'm a trans femme, I'm a trans woman. Where are the campaigns where we're actually having conversations, particularly for trans women that do have prostates, whether you have gender confirmation surgery or you don't? Where's the space for us to openly have these conversations, to openly have this dialogue, to say that yes, we need to be checking for breast cancer, but we also need to be checking for prostate cancer. And I've tried to have some conversation with girls that I'm close to, and when I bring up the fact that we need to, girls that I know that are not that don't have gender confirmation surgeries and that are not going to get them, when I bring up, girls, we gotta get prostate exams, they just cringe. And like, I get why they cringe, because living in the world that we live in, we shouldn't talk about that. But it is a possibility that trans women could be diagnosed with prostate cancer. And, where's the work that is being done to kind of push back against the binary, to kind of create space for these bodies to exist and receive service and receive care? I also think of trans masculine folks who have to deal with ovarian cancer. Some trans masculine folks who have died from ovarian cancer because they weren't able to be served by a traditional OBGYN because men don't have vaginas, quote unquote, and you can't get served here, or people just wouldn't want to touch you. So I don't know. I hope that collectively as a society, these are the places that we are moving to, because ultimately it's about preserving lives. It's about shifting systems, shifting the status quo to preserve lives. That's what I hope this non-binary conversation is doing. Because ultimately we need to impact these systems, because I don't know, when I look at my body in the mirror when I'm naked, like when I see my breasts and I see my penis, I'm not instantly eroticized just by the thought of my body, right? Just me walking through the house naked, doing my thing, or just like when I think about my body, I'm not eroticized by it. I'm not appalled by it. But that also lets me know the power that cis-het people have to create this narrative of trans bodies and how it's so pervasive, and how we have to work so hard to kind of dispel these narratives, to dispel these myths, to have this conversation. I don't have the perfect answer for every trans person for how to decenter the cis-het gaze in their life, but I think my purpose as a messenger is to acknowledge that living in a cis-het world that prizes being able to pass, that prizes being able to assimilate. I for one know that assimilation is not going to save us. It doesn't save me as a black person. It doesn't save me as a woman, and it damn sure doesn't save me as a trans person. And I don't know. I do want to challenge everybody to think about how the cis-het gaze shows up in our lives, and to really interrogate whether that's something that you're comfortable with, or whether that's something that you want to push back against. For me, I have to push back against it, because ultimately it will come down to a matter of life and death. And I just hope that, God willing, by the time I get to that age where I have to get those mandatory prostate exam checks along with my breast exam checks, I hope that the culture has evolved enough where there's space for me to be accepted, for me to receive care, for me to just not have to hide parts of myself, and to openly discuss parts of my life without scandal, without ridicule, without punishment. But I did get to a point where I got tired of living my life for the approval of cis-het people. Because I think I had to come to the point where I realized that I'm not cis, I'm not het, I never will be. And I have to start having the audacity to envision a world where I will be fully free, and taking the risk of working towards creating that world. That's all the conversation I have for today. This is definitely going to be one of those touchy topics. So if you have any comments or any thoughts, feel free to email me. I also relaunched my own personal Twitter, Brianna J Esquire. So if you want to talk about this on Twitter, make sure you use the hashtag Girl Down Podcast, and let me know what you think about this show's topic. All right, y'all. See y'all next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Girl Down Podcast with me, Aeon. If you like the show, please be sure to go on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast. Also, make sure that you're engaging with me on social media. Also, if you have any inquiries or you want to send me any questions, be sure to email me at girldownpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, bye y'all.